So welcome back to another edition of Scooter Coop. For those who don't know, this is my Scooter Coop channel. We're on YouTube. So this is Dennis from 9 Below Zero's kindly agreed to do this interview before you go on stage in about 40 minutes, I hear.
Yeah.
So I won't keep you too long.
No, don't worry, don't worry.
I'm just going to go through some quick questions which I previously wrote for you. How did your European tour go? I hear you just come back.
Yeah, I think it was very productive. We were worried that we were going too soon before things were unlocked and stuff. But Sweden was great. Oh, there's Charlie just started on stage. So a bit of background music from Charlie Austin. But it was really, really good. Although Mark couldn't come with us because Mark's had a recent throat operation, so we had to go without Mark. But we took our new bass player, Anthony, so it was a really good time to play every night and get Anthony routine into the band. And it was great to get out of the UK, if I'm really honest. We've been cooped up for 2 years. It's been very, very difficult, and to just cross the British Channel was lovely.
And how do they take you abroad, like the European audiences? Have you got a bit of a cult following?
Yeah, what happened was in 1980, when we joined A&M Records, we went out, we toured Europe with the Kinks, and we also toured Europe on our own. So from the very, very beginning, we were out in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, France, Belgium, Italy, Holland, and they're very, very loyal. So 9 Below Zero are lucky that because of the rhythm and blues music we play, it can really cross over to the European audience. They love their R&B, and they love that British, the way the British do it, you know, from them to the Yardbirds to Dr. Feelgood to 9 Below Zero.
Okay, very good. You started off in '77.
Yeah.
Where did that name come from? What was it? The Stan's Blues Band?
Yeah.
Blues Band.
Yeah. Yeah. That gives you an indication. I never thought I'd be here talking to you now. I was at school. I had Pete Clark and Kenny Bradley from my school in the band, and I needed another member. I didn't want a keyboard player or guitarist, so someone gave him Mark Felton's number, and so we got Mark in the band. He wasn't from our side of the river, and what I mean by is the creek in Bermondsey. He was in Bermondsey, and we was in Southwark, the other side of the creek. So our school was adjacent to the Thomas à Becket. So from Thomas à Becket, you could spit at my school, and I used to watch all the bands load in at the Thomas à Becket and fantasise that I would be in a band one day. So I got a band together, and I had no name, but I used to love Stan Webb. Stan Webb was on the circuit at the time, and I just called it Stan's Blues Band. I'm really embarrassed by it now, but you know, it was a start, and I had no idea I'd make a career and a living. I just loved. We were really out on our own. Nobody was doing what we were doing, we thought. So we were playing Chicago blues in the Old Kent Road. And then once we crossed the river and we went to the Bridge House, and we went to Camden, and we went to Clapham, and then we went to Brentford, and we realised actually there was bands like Red Beans and Rice, the Little Roosters, of course Dr. Feelgood, and we didn't, in amongst the punk scene that was happening at the time, all of a sudden we found about 6 or 7 R&B bands doing the same sort of music, and then we had started getting a mob following, and scooters outside the Thomas à Becket stacked up all the way down the road, and you know, and at that time, I'm not kidding you, you could go out to London and see Elvis Costello, the Jam, the Little Roosters, the Calls. No, I'm going to put you right there. tell you about the chords in a minute. You come back to me with the chords. No, I'll tell you now. We gave the chords their first ever gig. So
Really?
without us, there would be no chords. They supported us in Deptford. So they were after us. But we had bands like that helping us. You know, we helped other bands. Bands helped each other. But there was an amazing scene in London at that time. Amazing. And that's a terrible name.
It stands out really a bit now, doesn't it? And then you went to 9 Below Zero.
Yeah. We had a competition amongst the band. I think Mark might have had Sonny Boy album that had 9 Below Zero. We did a gig as the Manish Boys because we liked, I think Bowie had a gig. He had either Bowie went out as the Manish Boys or something like that. Anyway, we did a gig as the Manish Boys. We liked the Manish Boys, but we thought Boys as a blues band, a bit too boysy. So we stuck with 9 Below Zero, which we thought was cool because the Rolling Stones took their name from Rolling Stones by Muddy Water. We took our name from Sonny Boy Williamson's song called 9 Below Zero. So we had that link to what Mark and I loved was the rhythm and blues coming out of Chicago, electric rhythm and blues.
It gave you a definition, your own sound as well.
It certainly did.
In '79, there was a lot of mod bands like Secret Fair and Small
Yes,
Hours.
we weren't like any
no,
of that.
You
No,
stood out from all of them.
Yeah, and I didn't realise that till I saw. We did the Old Grey Whistle test in 1980. And I think it's the first time I thought I can see why we got signed now. I saw on that performance on the Old Grey Whistle test, I could see why the record company bought into us because I'd never seen it before. It's hard to see what you do yourself, but like we were doing something that was, well, I mean, we were taking Tamla Motown, rhythm and blues, and just doing a London thing on it.
Yeah, you got
You
your
know
own
what I mean?
twist on it.
Yeah, it was really good.
It really defined you as a group.
It certainly did.
And
We didn't know it at the time.
And I didn't understand. I mean, I saw you in them early days. I saw
Did
you
you?
with the Kinks and
Yeah.
the Who.
Yep.
And I saw you,
Of course,
and then
were they?
you were sort of getting bigger and bigger, and I couldn't understand why you changed the name for the Truth. What?
Oh, well, no, because 9 Below Zero had split up. So Mark went off to be a top session player, and I went and formed a band called The Truth. Basically, I replaced the harmonica with Hammond organ. That's what I did. And I I stopped playing lead guitar actually, which is a bit of a shame, and just got into songwriting, chord structures, and got into the other side of soul side of R&B, you know. Got into really early Stevie Wonder, and
But as somebody famous once says, it was a step in the right direction.
it certainly was. It certainly was.
I've got a list here of all the groups and bands you've supported, played
yeah,
with.
I know.
And I'm going to quickly fly through them,
yeah.
and one jumps out at me.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
The Who.
That'll do.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
The Who, the
Yeah.
Kinks.
Yeah. That's by royal appointment, you see. You know when you get your HP source, it says, by Her Majesty's, this is our stamp of approval.
You've got the Stranglers,
Yeah.
Eric Clapton,
Yeah.
Jules Holland, Paul Weller, Secret Affair,
Yeah.
From the Jam, I saw you with him last year,
And the Jam.
and the Jam,
From the Jam.
and
Jam
Sting.
and the Jam. Yes.
And you know the one that jumps out at me? You was with the Jam on the back of an open top lorry.
Yes.
Explain.
Yes.
What was you doing there?
We was invited to do a C&D march down the Thames, and I think Paul was got the lorry out, the back of the lorry, and
What year was it?
Mark, when was the Jam gig on the back of a lorry down the Thames? Yeah, what year? 80?
Yeah, I was
81.
79.
79, mate, 81.
Really early, very early.
Yeah, so we don't know,
It was
basically.
a long time ago. But it jumped out at me when I saw that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
amazing. With the Jam on the back of
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, C&D march. Campaign for nuclear disarmament.
And as I just said, I did see you last year with From the Jam.
Yeah.
And I've seen you possibly half a dozen times over
Yeah.
4 decades,
Yeah, yeah.
40 years of
Yeah,
decade.
yeah, yeah.
But that was the strongest session I've seen. You was You had everything. You had energy. You had
Yes,
drive. And it
yes.
was a fantastic gig. And at the end, you came back on and did this heat wave.
Yes, yeah.
And it
I
was
think what I've done is I've reinvented the band with some great young musicians. You know, we've got my son's on drums, Sonny, and then we've got Tom. Tom's on keys and guitar, and we brought Charlie in on vocals, and we've now got Anthony Harty, who was with the Style Council when he was 16, 17, and was with me in The Truth, you know. So Mark and I have put a really young, energetic, wonderful bunch of musicians behind us, and I think that's
carries through.
yeah. What it does is, Mark, is like you can't be a tribute of yourself when you've been going for 45 years like we have. You've got to be really careful that you don't just plod
Yeah.
and go through the motions.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You know, if I die tomorrow, I will not go through the motions. I will not do that. So I've reinvented the band. I've been very, very careful in who I've picked, and I'm probably got one of the best lineups since the beginning. I've got the best lineup now, so I'm sort of bookending. You know, it's really nice. And Anthony has just added so much as well. We just got Anthony on board, and Anthony's been a selector, the beat, as I say, the Style Council in the early days, and it's in his DNA. So that's really added.
Now, touching on that, you just mentioned Charlie. She's the first female to have along with the nine below zero.
Mm.
How did she audition? Did you put it out there?
You know what I love? I really love Bonnie and Bramlett, to Delaney Bonnet and Robert Palmer and Elkie Brooks. I looked at that sort of 60s and 70s thing where, see, Charlie don't do the normal soul, screamy, shouty voice. Charlie's got, she's like Carole King and Dusty Springfield. Do you know what I mean? She's creamy and silky. She's not, shouty and screamy. And I think, she's added so much. And the minute, you see, this is all about chemistry. If it happens very, very quickly. And if it don't, it ain't meant to be. And once you get in a room with someone and you connect, so we connected really great with our voices, and then our songwriting and our politics. It's all. It's funny. It's a funny thing.
It works.
It works.
It definitely works.
It works. Yeah, Charlie is tremendous. And adds a lot to the band. Her energy and her vocal performance.
It comes across on
And
stage.
musicality, and great bunch of musicians here.
I've got one more question for
That's
you.
all right.
Because I know you're reaching to get on stage.
No.
Going back 40 years when you started, if you sold 1 million records,
Yeah.
you'd be quite a rich band as such. If you
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all downloads.
Yeah, which we.
There's no money in that.
No, there's not. No, and I don't think you've got enough tape. That shows me age, doesn't it? I don't think you've got enough time for me to rant on about streaming, because we're not getting looked after. There's no doubt that musicians are not getting the money that they deserve.
No.
And no, I look at my mates. All my mates I went to school with who are plumbers and electricians. They've done far better than me, but they've not had the lifestyle I've had. So I'm very, very rich in many other ways,
And do you have to tour to sort of keep the coffers in the pot?
Well, see, there you go, right? You talk about streaming. There's no money in that. There's no money in record sales. Yes, we are a live entity, and that's how we earn our money. By playing live, yeah.
Well, I'm just going to get you to shout out to these millions of people
Oh,
watching us.
Sorry, I've ignored you.
And
Sorry.
say, like and subscribe this channel.
Like and subscribe to this channel
right
now, immediately, before
it's too late.
It's too late.
Thank you very much for
Cheers,
your
Mark.
time, sir. Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
mate.
I'd have a great gig. I'm looking forward
Thank you,
to it.
mate.
Cheers.
Thank you, Leslie.